Hey, I'm Josh, and like many of you, I have a strict morning ritual that I never deviate from. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I take a shower, I brush my teeth, I grab my cup of coffee, and I stop at my stuffed eagle. I get down on one knee, and I swear an oath of loyalty to the arbitrary county lines, whose contents is overseen by the Almighty Allah, and to the freedoms I enjoy, to not have to swear an oath of loyalty to anything. Does that sound like a kind of strange and insane ritual? Well, it might come as a surprise then that American school children swear their allegiance to a piece of cloth Monday through Friday from grades kindergarten to 12. That's right, children as young as 4, who barely have the cognitive faculties to tie their shoes, are busy learning their ABCs, their 1, 2, 3s, and of course, memorizing the words and motions to a patriotic ritual with religious undertones, so that they can swear their allegiance to God and country on a daily basis for the next 13 years. So grab your Confederate umbrellas, because there's about to be a storm of patriotism. The Pledge of Allegiance was originally written by Francis Bellamy in 1892 for the Youth's Companion, a children's, religious, and patriotic values magazine. Francis Bellamy was a strict supporter of the separation of church and state, and the original Pledge of Allegiance did not have the words, "Under God." No, in fact, they were added in 1954 by Dwight D. Eisenhower. He wanted to distinguish Americans and America from the heathen, godless communists. He was attempting to create a unified American identity as the fear of communism loomed in the shadows. It's a frequent political tactic to create a unified identity for the population, because then it's easy to create an enemy of that population. So let's break down the Pledge of Allegiance. Here's the original pledge. I pledge allegiance to my flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It eventually was revised a number of times and became what it is today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's break down some of the terminology. The first half is relatively straightforward. It's not until we reach one nation under God that it becomes a little bit questionable. Indivisible is a reference to the Civil War. Liberty. Definition of liberty: the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views. The power or scope to act as one pleases. So, as it turns out, liberty, ironically, is the exact opposite of having to swear an oath. Justice for all. United States incarceration rates. We certainly do love justice, don't we? So why are the words "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance if America was founded on religious freedom and the freedom of speech? God also makes an appearance on our money. Why? Wow, God really loves Americans. Next thing you know, they're going to be saying God has something to do with marriage or the justice system. Now, Given that the pledge is recited daily in schools across America, what do you think curious children are going to ask their teachers about? I think under God is going to be one of the main questions. Professor Josh, I have a question. Yes, Josh. Why do you have a treasonous flag of racist rebels hanging on the wall? Which one? When we pledge our allegiance to the flag, which God are we referring to? God. Just God, the one everyone prays to. So, Allah. No, that's Islam. Yahweh. Jewish. So, Zeus, then. Well, no, now you're just confusing religion with mythology. Anything else? Is God a man or a woman? Well, God made us in their image. Whose image? Ours. Okay. God is God. God is neither and he is both, I guess. So, you're saying God is non-binary? I just have one more question. What race is God? Anything else? Sure, it's voluntary, but I highly doubt a 4-year-old or even a 10-year-old has the fortitude or cerebral capacity required to make an informed decision to rebel against the classroom status quo. Children get bullied in schools enough as is. Are they allowed to swear on any country's representative piece of cloth, any ideology? So, I've devised a game for us to play.
I want to play a game.
I'm going to show you a few pictures, and I want you to guess. Americans or Nazis? My point here is that patriotism is a double-edged sword. It can go either way. Sure, it can bring unity. It can also bring genocide. Or unity and then genocide. And then unity again. Every country on earth has used patriotism to justify some kind of invasion. Patriotism is used as kindling during wartime to convince the population that what they're doing is noble and just. Whether it's invading Iraq, trampling over the Middle East for 20 plus years, invading Vietnam, invading Ukraine, the invasion of Poland by the Nazis. However, it can also be used to justify the defense of the country being invaded. Patriotism is a double-edged sword. So, how do we know when it's gone too far? Is it when part of the population becomes so wrapped up in their own ideologies that they storm the seat of democracy and the capital of their own country? Is it when those same individuals believe that their president was robbed of an election, despite having won a different election 4 years prior, in order to turn the country they love into a fascist, authoritarian dictatorship? Is it when those same snowflakes glorify a white Christian man for expressing his freedoms, only to turn around and attempt to ruin a person of color's life and cancel the NFL when that person attempts to express their freedoms by not executing a patriotic ritual in the traditional way, in the name of racial liberty and justice for all? My point is, programming children to execute patriotic rituals with religious undertones might just be a way of planting the seeds of manipulation, so much so that it becomes incorporated into some of their identities. Now, I can understand you might be thinking, Josh, aren't you being a little bit overdramatic? It's just the Pledge of Allegiance. It's not like we're recruiting underage children for military service or letting them practice being in the military. Now, this patriotic grooming manifests in more than just the Pledge of Allegiance. Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps. The Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps is a federal program sponsored by the United States Armed Forces in high schools and also in some middle schools across the United States and at U.S. military bases across the world. With an average age of 14 to 15 in the 9th grade, children can voluntarily join the JROTC, where they can spend their time playing make-believe military officer, learning such skills as how to play with and shoot guns, having their clothing and hairstyle choices completely controlled, and perhaps most importantly, how to obey orders from people superior to them, and how to give orders to people simply inferior to them. Outside of this JROTC program, we of course have my favorite, underage military recruiting. That's right, at the tender age of 17, with parental consent, of course. Your child can contractually obligate their body to the U.S. government to potentially die in a war that was started before they were born. I decided to do a little bit of investigative journalism to find out more about what it means to manipulate and groom children. The first step was to ask alleged experts more about the topic, so I sent out a few emails to Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Harvey Weinstein, Donald Trump, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, Ivanka Trump, Vladimir Putin, Drake, Matt Gaetz, Kim Jong-un, the Clintons, the Bushes, QAnon, Prince Andrew, and the entire royal family, and, of course, the Catholic Church. Unfortunately, none of them got back to me, probably because I'm not in their preferred demographic. So, when the trail ran cold, I was left with no other options. Instead of asking a legitimate psychologist, I decided to be a true red, white, and blue patriot and exercise my liberty to support my argument with 30 seconds of research on the Google. What is grooming? Special attention or preference to a child. Gift giving. Touching or hugging the child. Gaining access via internet. Identifying the best possible target. Gaining trust and access to the target. Creating a secret relationship. High school military recruitment. The Bush administration's No Child Left Behind Act requires public schools to give military recruiters access to students at school and access to students' contact information. Okay, it looks like they're heading into a school, traditionally a safe place with lots of trusted adults.
So a lot of the kids, they're too afraid to walk into a recruiting office. So
I wonder why.
here we are, where they're comfortable and they can come up to our table anytime they want.
It's a brilliant tactic.
Black one?
Now you push it.
They're giving out goodies.
Alright guys, so what's your name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel, and what grade are you in, Gabriel?
I'm in 9th.
A lanyard and a water bottle.
9th grade? You excited for this 4 years of high school?
Yeah.
Alright, so
9th grade.
I'm always posting different opportunities, scholarships available, all kinds of stuff. You could basically watch me.
No female recruiter with the female students.
anyways, follow
Alright, got you.
the
Thank
Instagram
you.
and then
More goodies.
2. Okay. Okay.
Everyone's having a great time bonding.
Gabriel,
Alan?
you got an Instagram?
Yeah.
What's your Instagram?
I followed you. GM.1110.
Okay. What's your Instagram?
KIDO.
Oh, that's a cool Instagram.
Exchanging social medias.
Water bottles and all that stuff is gone. So yeah, it's been a good table setup, and I hope you guys. So we got some supporters over here, as you can see. Yeah, interrupting my mom.
Like talking to yourself and everything. Like, hey guys, I'm at school today.
Alright, so look, all of you guys are freshmen.
Yeah.
Alright, so how's freshman year going over? This is my man right here, yo. He got a secret from me that nobody knows. Just for
A secret.
tell him my secret. Okay?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, please.
Establishing trust. I guess they're best buddies now.
And this is my Dominican queen right here, yo. Represent, yo, all day, Dominicana.
Not really a lot of white kids at this school. Man, it's really not looking good for these recruiters. So, with parental consent, you can join the military at 17. On a related note, youngest marriage age by state. In Massachusetts, with parental consent, of course, you can get married as young as 12, as long as you're a female, and 14 as long as you're a male. So, to recap, you can be legally married at age 12. You can join, potentially die, or be left with lifelong trauma from joining the military at 17, with parental consent, of course. But you can't smoke or drink in most states until you're 21. Why? Because they're obviously bad for your body and mind. Now, you might be saying, Josh, 17 is not the same thing as 12. And that's probably the same argument Prince Andrew is going to make when he finally goes to trial for having underage sex with the 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre. But Josh, would you rather have military conscription like some other countries? Of course not. This is America. We prey on children whose brains are not fully developed. I really don't think our options should be between preying on children and conscription. Let me ask you a question. Why do we have recruiters grooming children at schools and not setting up in a state financial aid office where disadvantaged people need jobs, benefits, and money? Why not find their willing victims at a homeless shelter? Maybe that's because children's brains are more easily manipulated. It's probably a lot easier to get them to contractually obligate their bodies to the government when they've been swearing an oath of allegiance their entire lives. We should not be passively or actively programming children's obedience to political or religious ideals and rituals. As we have seen, when these traditions become synonymous with a person's identity, things can get out of hand. I'm not saying all patriotism is bad. I'm just saying keep it out of our public services, especially schools, which should be a neutral learning environment and a safe space, free of religion and ideologies. There's a difference between allowing a child to come to their own conclusions and programming them. If you're offended by anything in this video, too bad. You can either hit the dislike button, which will do absolutely nothing, or I'll direct you once again to the definition of liberty.
I thought this was America! Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America!
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, or comment, or don't. It's a free country. You can also come hang out with us on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Jaybesus.